Good morning, friends. We are learning our subject data mining 3160714. And in that, we are learning concept description and association rule mining. So, in previous lecture, we have seen data characterization, discrimination, summarization, right? Data generalization and summarize based characterization. That is what we have seen, right? So now we want to see the approaches. They are data cube approach and attribute oriented induction approach, right? For that, for this OLAP, that is the data cube approach, we have seen two things. One was roll up and drill down, right? So what we do with the data cube approach, perform computations and store results in data cubes, and efficient implementation of data generalization. We have talked of yesterday for percentage, average, right? So here we can say that computation of various kinds of measures like count, sum, average, max, right? Generalization and specialization can be performed on a data cube by roll up and drill down, right? So what is the limitation of it? It handle only dimensions of simple non-numeric data and measures of simple aggregate numeric values, right? This sum or count or average or max, where you can do that with numeric value only, isn't it? And for roll up and drill down, we can say we'll be doing with the concepts, right? That is non-numeric. Okay. Particular concepts, it can be having some values, but the concepts are non-numeric, right? So next approach is attribute oriented induction. What do we say here? Collect the task relevant data, that is a initial relation, using a relational database query. Perform generalization by attribute removal or attribute generalization. Data aggregation is performed by merging identical generalized tuples and accumulating their respective counts. Interactive presentation with users. So we can say we can be having charts or rules. That is also the summarization only, right? Chart is that means the whole data is being represented as a particular figure. That is a bar chart, line chart, scatter chart, whatever. But that is also summary only, right? So for attribute of attribute removal, attribute generalization, attribute threshold control, generalized relation threshold control. Let us see this first. Attribute removal. If there is no generalization operator on the attribute, then remove that attribute. If nothing generalization is available for that particular attribute, you can say if we are having, say, concepts like what we have seen, say, country, state, city, street. If we are having generalization available here, otherwise we'll remove that. Okay? Because what we want to have is generalization we want to achieve, right? Using the attribute oriented induction. Fine. And in that, the first type is attribute removal. Okay. So wherever the generalization is not available, we can say we'll remove that attribute. Does it mean that we'll remove the attribute from the database or data warehouse? No. We do not remove it from whatever database or data warehouse we are having, but we can say we remove, that means for that for further processing will not consider that attribute. Getting the point? Removal doesn't mean that delete this from this particular database. It is not so. It means only that for further processing will not consider that attribute. Okay. So that is the first type of attribute oriented induction. If there is no generalization operator available for that attribute. Got the point? Right? Generalization operator, that means we can say generalization is available or not. Fine. For straight is here, we are having say country, that is a generalized one for that. Isn't it? City is specific one. Yesterday we have taken the example, say Varacha, Katargam, Adajan. That is a specific thing. But instead of that, I can say it as Surat. Right? So if it is available, we can say that that is the generalization. Generalization is not available in the case we have taken the example yesterday. That was for say month, day, weekdays, then quarter and year. There was not available. Fine. If it is available, then fine. But if it is not available, we'll remove that from further processing. That is for the generalization. Okay. Attribute generalization. If there is a large set of data of distinct values for an attribute in the initial working relation, then use generalization operator on that attribute. See, if we are having large data set of distinct values, so many distinct values are there. Let us say that we are having street available in the data. So we can say that it will be having so many distinct values. Yes. So for that, we'll be applying the generalization. Getting the point? If the countries are, but for that we can say that countries of whole world, all the continents are being considered. At that time, we'll be applying the generalization on, and we can say that countries will be replaced with the continents. But as we have, sorry, as we have discussed yesterday, streets are too many in comparison to the countries, right? But see, in reality, what is that? That is not our problem. We will think of the data what we are having for a particular attribute. If we are having say so many distinct values, so let us say if street is there, we should be having so many distinct values, isn't it? From the example what we have taken, if it is too many, then we will apply the generalization operator. If only say 5 values are there, distinct values, no need to apply generalization operator. Yes, but so many, like say 10,000 distinct values are there, then we will use the generalization. And if 3 days there, we'll replace that with whatever is available. Generalization, that means whether should we go to state or you can say countries, it depends on our application. Right? Okay. So that will apply the generalization. Right? Attribute threshold control. Typical is 2 to 8 and specified default. Attribute threshold control. How many attribute we should control? So typically it is 2 to 8, but still it depends on a particular application. Do we want to have particular attributes? Is it required to us? Is it having the generalization operator available on that particular attribute? All these things we will see, and we'll consider only those attributes where generalization is available, and that also is in the range of 2 to 8. But see, it is nothing like a number and that is fixed that you have to take this only. If your application is such that you want to have more attributes, you can take it. Fine. So there is a typical example that typically people are taking it as 2 to 8. Right? It is not so. If you are having, say, thousands of attributes in your data set, and you can say now which I should consider. So there you should check it out first of all where the generalization is available. Is it possible for that attribute to have the generalization? Just check it out that. And if you are getting say 15 or you can say 1000 is there, but 100 attributes we would find where the generalization is available. But do we require all of them for what application we are interested in? It may not, right? It may not. And if you require, you can take that. It is nothing like 2 to 8 means you have to stick to that only. Fine. Depends on particular application. If I want to have, say, result of your class, then I should not worry about considering the email address. I do not need to have that. I just want to have the result of your class in this particular subject. Say, 100 subjects are there. So should I consider all? Everywhere the generalization is available. Say, what you can say, DM is there. So if I make it general, I can say it is computer engineering, right? I can do that. Generalization operator is available on that. But will I consider all the things, all the subjects? No, I am interested only in say DM subject. So I'll not consider other attributes. Other subjects are there, but I'll not consider them. Fine. So maybe you are having thousands of attributes in your data set. You consider first is where the generalization is available. If we are having say 100 attributes, then too will not consider all because in what we are interested, that only we will consider. Right? So typically they are saying that 8 are there which we use. It is not fixed. Okay? You can consider more, you can consider less. Fine? Then generalized relation threshold control. Control the final relation or rule size. See, final relation, what do we say? And rule size. Rule is here. Just now we haven't seen much, but still, say rule is given. Say if your age is less than 25, your credit rating is say high, then that person will buy computer, right? This is one rule. If I say this is one rule for the data set that if person is having age less than 25 and credit rating is high, then that person will buy computer. This is the rule, right? So rule size we should consider. This is a small rule only. We'll consider that. Threshold is given. See, for any application, we can provide the threshold that we should not consider, say, this condition and this condition and this condition. Say, 100 conditions are there. We should not consider all these 100 conditions for a particular rule. We should provide the threshold, right? See, if we take all the things, each and every if and else cases, then we can say that we'll be having the rule that will be very complex. That will be very complex. So what we will do is we'll specify the size, that is the threshold control. I'll say the rule should not be having more than say 5 conditions. You can have that. You need to find those 5 particular conditions which are very important to your particular data, to your particular application of interest. Because when we say data mining, we say that interesting pattern, right? So in what you are interested in, for that you will specify the threshold. Got the point? Hmm? Relevance measures. Now, why do we need to have this relevance measures and what are they? It is help to identify irrelevant or weakly attributes that can be excluded from the concept description process. What we are saying is relevance measures, they are helping us to identify irrelevant or weak measures which are not of use, right? Or you can say that we can remove them from further process. Okay, so how to decide that? Which are the measures by which we can decide whether to consider this particular attribute or not? For that, we can say we are having the relevance measures. So those measures are which they are, so information gain, Gini index, uncertainty coefficient, and correlation coefficient. What are they? That we will see as for the particular topic, right? But say you are this many people in this class, okay? Now, if I want to have, say, data mining problem competition, I'm giving you one problem and you will implement that and I have to give you rank, right? So such competition I want to have. Now, in that, what I want to say that what are the measures and whom I should consider, what attribute I should consider. Coding, okay, all will do. So should I consider only coding? I should have some measures for that. I have given say 5 statements to execute. You have considered say 2. She has considered say 3. Jainakshi has considered say 5. Right? So whom I should give more marks? 2, 3, 5. I have given the statements for problem definition. Say you have to implement this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And maximum she has implemented. So I should consider her, right? You can say that I'll give her the rank. Fine. But then for say other competitions, which is say throughout the world, some competitions are there. We can say that on the Kaggle, we can find the coding competitions for say data mining, machine learning, right? So for that, will I consider other people? I'll consider her because she is having more marks, right? Let us consider, I have given you the example based on say a particular person. Here we are saying it as a particular attribute, right? For should I consider this attribute in consideration or not? See, there can be many other attributes for this particular example. I can say that these 3 people I have considered, say your marks, your CPI, I can say, your SPI, we can say, your CGPA, we can say, right? That we can consider whether I should consider this particular person in further competition or not. This is what is my task. Okay, so for that, let us say that Dara is having many marks. I mean, she is having CGPA at 10. Should I consider her for the Kaggle competition or not? That I need to decide based on which attribute I am giving the importance. These are the attributes, right? Your CGPA, matlab CGPA is one attribute. Second one is the coding competition, what I am doing. In that, what score you are having, right? Say this 2 attribute I have considered. Many other can be there, right? Let us say that I have considered this 2 attribute. Now, should I consider both the attributes? I may not consider. I'll only consider whoever is having the maximum marks in coding competition organized by me. Why? Because I am there, so I should consider. No, it is not so. See, your CGPA or your CPI is high because you have considered all the subjects which you have studied till now very well. It doesn't mean that you will also work well for this, my subject, that is data mining, what we are studying now, right? But when I organize the competition for data mining coding, here in that person who has done well, that person is selected. Means number is given according to that. If I consider that person for further processing, that will be better. Yes or no? CGPA आपका बहुत ही अच्छा है, तो इसका मतलब है you have done well in your past, right? And whether you are good in maths, whether you are good in say science, whether you are good in say other subject, will it matter to me for the coding competition that is for the throughout world people? No, I should consider the people who are good in this particular subject because related to this, the competitions will be there. Getting the point, right? So that's what we are talking of here. These are the relevance measures. Standard. This is not the particular attribute, but these are the measures by which I can say that I'll select this attribute and I'll ignore this particular attribute. Got the point? So the relevance measures, they are information gain, Gini index, uncertainty coefficient, and correlation coefficient. Right? These are the four coefficients, or you can say relevance measures. We consider whether to consider a particular attribute or remove that from further processing. Got the thing? First of all, you may have considered CGPA and determining competition score. Fine, you have considered. But then after you feel no, yeah, CGPA means past में जो किया होगा वो होगा ना. So remove that, right? So that measure I have considered. It is not part of this just now because you do not know what are these measures, what are the equations for it. So for seeing the example, I am just saying you that if person is having good marks in the coding competition, that I'll consider for further. Okay. We'll see the equations for all of this and we can have the idea that whether we should consider a particular attribute first or second or third or whatsoever place. Rank also is required. Right. So let's see that. You can say we have started with this and we have forgotten. No, we haven't forgotten. We'll consider all the things in detail one by one. But just now, the chapter contains are in the way that we have to consider association mining. Okay? So all these things, information gain, gain index, all these things we will see in our next chapter. That will be the classification. Okay? So let us consider this association mining. Association rule mining is a procedure which aims to observe frequently occurring patterns, correlations, or associations from data sets found in various kinds of databases such as relational databases, transactional databases, and other forms of repositories. It can be the warehouse. What we are doing is association. We want to find the association. What sort of? Let me take the example. Tuition. Okay, I want to consider tuition and I want to give some project to him. But whom I should consider with him? Association. Okay. So Akash will do, yeah. He can work with Kishan and both are good. So I can make combos of them. And no, not only two, but I require more. So I'll consider more people here. Right? I want to have, for this project, I need to have 5 people. Then they can work well. So I'll consider association of this 5. Got the point? Right? This is what we want to consider. In the case of our data mining, we have taken the example of bread and butter. Right? Throughout the semester, we will talk of the bread and butter. Okay? Because that we can understand very easily. Right? People who purchase bread will purchase butter. Right? Jabardasti. No, yeah, it is nothing like that. But we have seen the transactions, we have then the market basket analysis through which we can say that people who purchase bread are purchasing butter. So, with some confidence, at least I can say that people who purchase bread will purchase butter also. So that is the association, right? I am giving the rule. People who will purchase bread will purchase butter also. Not 100%, no guarantee. But with some confidence, at least I can say, yes, it happens, right? So that is association between bread and butter. Now let me tell you, I am having bread. Now that particular shop, mall is there. They are selling, say, diamond jewelries also. So Can I make the association between bread and diamond jewelries? No relation we can find, right? No relation we can find. But how can you decide that? See, this is human being, and we can understand that there cannot be the relation between this bread and jewelry items. But how computer understand? Does it have mind? No. We have to train them. Do this way. They are good slaves, right? They do not have actual mind. We want them to behave like humans, right? So for that, we have to train them. We should have rules. We should have program by which they can understand and give us the rules. Why should we do that when we ourselves have mind? Because the data in say terabytes or petabytes, and we cannot see all the data and think of things. We cannot remember all the things, right? So what we do is we are using computer programs through which we'll be deriving the relations. So how to derive that? That is what is association mining process. Fine. We want to find the relation where if we make the combo, if we make the association between them, it will be beneficial to us, this person, as well as to customers for that particular business, right? So if I make a combo of bread, butter, cheese, it will be beneficial, right? Because typically people are using it. You can say only three. You can have the association between bread, butter, cheese, and sauce, tomato sauce. Yeah. So people will be having the sandwich and they can eat, right? So it happens. It depends on what data we are having and what count is available in that transactions, in their market basket analysis. Fine. Okay, so that's what we want to learn here. That is what is association. Which item we should associate with other item or items, and we can create the rule that people who purchase this will purchase this also. People who purchase bread, butter, and cheese, they will definitely purchase the tomato sauce, right? Something like this, I want to say. Same as we want to have the rule, right? So how can we have that? That is using association mind. Okay. So for market basket analysis, we used to take the example like a bread is 100 times available in the transactions, whatever transactions people are having for a particular mall. Typically for data mining, data warehouse, we do not current transactions where insert, delete, update can be done. We do not consider such things. We consider history, past, right? Where insertion, updation, deletion is not, right? Typically, it is the case, right? So let us say that whatever transactions we are having, in that we find the count of say bread. For each and every item, what we are having, for each and every item, we find the count. Oh, 1, 2, 3, oh, 1,000 records are there. How much time you will take? Too much, no? But computer programs are there, they can do it fast, isn't it? So we'll write the program who will count the count of each and every item available in the mall, right? Let us say, for example, bread is having the count that is 100. That 100 people have purchased, or may not consider 100 people, but 100 packets of bread are being sold. अब किसी ने 5-6 भी लिया होगा, है ना? So we'll consider the count, that is we can say the bread 100. Okay. So butter 97. We have find the count of each and every item available in the mall. Right? Okay. Now, minimum count what is given in our problem statement is 75. 75 से ज्यादा है तो उसको कंसीडर करो कि वो अपने इंटरेस्ट की चीज है, right? It is the frequent item. When the count is greater than or equal to minimum count, then you can say that the item is frequent. Okay, so this is what is given. So bread is also frequent and butter is also frequent. If we are having the item here, diamond jewelries, will it be having this many counts? Obviously not, right? It may be have one or two or five, right? Not more than that. So should we consider the association between bread and diamond jewelries? No. This is what logic we are having. इसमें relation नहीं होता. But is it like that? What we should consider is we should take the association between frequent items. Bread is frequent, where jewelries, diamond jewelries are not frequent because their count is less than that of the minimum count. Getting the point? So we'll not consider diamond jewelries for the association. Whichever are frequent, them only I'll group. Fine? Okay. So let us say that bread and butter. But is it frequent? How can I say? We should have this combo and find the count of them from the database or data warehouse, whatever it is. Fine. So now what should we find? आप बोलोगे मैम ब्रेड 100 है बटर 97 है तो 97 तो हुआ ना मिनिमम कॉम्बो नो इट इज नॉट लाइक दैट in say Kishan has purchased only bread, Dhara has only considered say butter, so this is not the combo. What we should find is now combination bread and butter together, how have purchased, right? Or how many count is available in the database, right? So there we can say suppose it is 77. So is it frequent? Yes, because it is greater than that of the minimum count, right? So this combo 2 is now frequent. First we have considered single individual items. They are frequent. Now among the frequent items we are trying to have the combination. Check it out whether that combination is frequent. Yes, this is frequent. Now if it is frequent, we should try to have the third item with it. But third item, can I consider the jewelry, diamond jewelry with this? No, that is not possible. I'm not talking of logically because humans are not there. While we computer programs are running, they will not consider whether it is food item or whether it is variable or whatever things are there. They do not understand it, right? They do not understand it. They will try to have the count and try to merge it. Fine. So what I meant to say is whichever item is frequent, with that only we'll try to make the association. If it is rarely available item, that is rarely sold item, with that will not make the association. Fine. So let us consider butter, chocolates and bread. For chocolates, for the items count, we should be having say chocolates is equal to at least 75. Then only we can have the combo that is bread, butter and chocolate. Otherwise it is useless. है ना? कोई frequent है, कोई एकदम rare है, तो उसका combination बनाने को कोई मतलब ही नहीं. ठीक है? So we'll have the count, we'll have the transaction. If we are having transaction like this, we'll find the count for say chocolates. If it is frequent, then we'll make the rule for these three items. Got it? Fine. So that is where we'll be having the association between the items. So for that, let us see what is there in the background. That is how we can find that. This association mining was proposed by Agrawal et al. In 1993. Assume all data are categorical. No good algorithm for numeric data. Initially used for market basket analysis to find how items purchased by customers are related. Bread implies milk. ब्रेड खरीदेगा तो मिल्क भी खरीदेगा. I can say that with some support and some confidence. Now, what is the support and confidence? We should have the formula for that, right? For market basket analysis. See, we can see the figure and very nicely we can understand that the person is having basket with it, and whatever items she is purchasing, that she is putting inside the basket, right? It can be the mall, it can be the supermarket, it can be anything, right? It doesn't matter to us, but whatever basket people are having, that we analyze, right? Okay, so for that, your lady is purchasing something, it is there in her basket, right? That we want to analyze only for her, no, for all the customers, right? Okay, and that is history. Okay, that is the history, historical data. So what we say is retail organizations, as for example, supermarkets, collect and store massive amounts of sales data called basket data. Massive amounts of data. Terabytes or petabytes of data is there, right? It is nothing like, say, 5 persons basket data we are analyzing. It does not have any meaning, right? Too much data is there, and that we need to analyze and want to give the association. Bread, butter, okay. They are having the association, right? Bread, तुमने परचेज किया, बटर भी ये करेगा, है ना? Something like that. And there will provide the combination, will give the discount, or you can say will give something free, so that customers will be having benefit, as well as say business people will also have the benefit. They will think bread खरीद रहा है तो butter खरीदता है, most of the cases. So we'll combine the combo. If you take bread and butter, you will be having one chocolate, right? Like 5 rupees Cadbury is free. So people will be attracted. वो बच्चे होते हैं ना, बोलेंगे मम्मी ये ले लो ना, मुझे कैडबरी मिलेगा, है ना? So that happens. Okay. A record consists of transaction date and items bought, or basket data may consist of items bought by a customer over a period. It may happen that I'll consider the data for, say, all of you, or for, say, Kishan only for a period of time. See, whoever people are there, I'll take your names, okay? Fine? It is nothing like I'll consider Kishan, but he is here. Okay? He is sitting near to me. Okay, so maybe we'll consider all the people, or we can say that we'll consider particular person's purchase for a particular time period. Okay, let's say that people will analyze anybody like me. I'm not, I'm saying my characteristic, but say people like to have a particular brand items, right? So for a period of time, like for go to, we can say, right? We are having, say, particular brand items only. She purchased, right? So we can say, for a period of time, say 5 years, last 5 years, history we have seen, she is purchasing this particular brand, right? So we'll consider for her. Okay? So something like that. Okay. So how the model is there, or for our data, how can we say it? Typically, what we are having is we are having the item set. That is bread, butter, kurkure, wafer, chocolate. भूख लगी गई नहीं? Okay, so this is example. It is having the items. Okay, whatever items we are having, I1, I2 up to IM. Transaction is there. That is where we can say T subset or equal to I. So Kishan will be having bread, butter, cheese. Okay, that will do. But Dara will say bread, butter, it's okay, yaar. Let us have some chocolates, right? Okay. And Here you can say dharmic, है ना? Raj. Okay. Dharmic. Okay, so Raj will say that he'll be having, say, not much hungry. मम्मी ने घर से नाश्ता दिया था तो ज्यादा भूख नहीं है, तो कंसीडर करेगा ठीक है. So he will say that I'll enjoy chocolates, right? Chocolates and kurkure he'll be having, right? So different transactions are there, right? But they are having the items which are there in the items. Okay, fine. Now, so transactions database, that is collection of transactions, whatever Kishan has purchased or Dhara or Kimi or all of you, right? All the collections. That is the transaction data set. Okay, or database. So transaction data, we can say the example is, say, for market basket, T1 transaction where I have just given you the example, bread, cheese, milk. T2 is having, say, apple, eggs, salt, yogurt. TN is having, say, biscuit, eggs, milk, right? So this can be there, right? Okay, so what are the concepts related to this? An item, that is an item or article in the basket. I is the set of all items sold in the store. A transaction, that means items purchased in a basket. It may have TID, that is transaction ID, right? And transactional data set, that is the set of transactions. So let us see the example, that is transaction data, a set of documents where we can say doc1, doc2, few text documents are there. So what they are having some keywords like doc1 is having student, teach and school. Doc2 is having student and school. Doc3 is having teach, school, city, game. And that way we are having say doc7, right? Total 7 docs we are having, wherein the keywords are like this. Okay. And what is there in I? That is the item set where all the keywords are there, right? So we can say it is having student, teach, school, city, game, basketball, player, structure, coach, team. This is the item set, right? This is an example we can understand. Now, model rules, because we are interested in extracting the rules. Bread you have purchased, so you will purchase butter also, right? This is a rule we want to see, right? Person if buys bread will buy, that is implies we can say will buy butter also. These rules we want to give, right? So model rules, for that what we say is a transaction T contains X, a set of items in I if X is subset or equal to T. An association rule is an implication of the form X implies Y, right? So what we can say is XY is subset of Y and X and Y, that is the intersection, is phi. I'll not consider bread implies bread comma butter, right? Their intersection must be empty. Okay, if I want to say X implies Y, it doesn't mean that bread implies bread butter. It is not so. It is having bread implies butter, right? So their intersection is empty, right? Then an item set is a set of items, as for example, milk, bread, cereal is an item set. K item set, that means what? If we consider say bread, butter, cheese separately, individual items, that means it is one item set, because only one item is there in that set. If we consider two items, bread, butter, cheese, kurkure, wafer, chocolate, right? Two items only, then it is said as two items. If we consider three, then three items, right? So as many items it is having, it is called as say n item set, right? And here the example is given. that is milk, bread, and cereal, that is having 3 items. So it is called as 3 item set. So rule strength measures, these are the support and confidence. In the starting only we have seen one rule, say bread implies milk, and there it was written support this much, confidence is this much, right? So how to find that? That is what we are discussing. This is very important for association rule mind. And one example of at least 7 marks will be there in your final exam. It is always there because this is the heart of our data mining subject. Fine. So it will definitely be that. Okay. So we should have the idea of supported confidence. Based on that, we'll be calculating the association rule 9. Fine. Okay. So what is the case? That support, that means the rule holds with support sup. Sup is a count, we can say. Support value, right? In T, if this sup percentage of transaction contains X union Y. That means what? This count we want to find. This sup is the count, right? Which we want to find. Support we want to find. So for that, I can say the variable name is sup. Okay. So that is equal to probability of X union Y. Both are available. Then it is X union Y. Confidence is the rule holds in T with confidence conf. This is the variable we can say, or its value. If conf percentage of transactions that contains X also contain Y, and that is said as conf, that is equal to probability of Y based on X, right? An association rule is a pattern that stays when X occurs, Y occurs with certain probability. Fine. So let us consider the formula so we can understand that very easily. So support count. The support count of an item set X denoted by X dot count in a data set T is the number of transactions in T that contains X. Means what? Support is equal to X union Y. Support is equal to X union 1. I want to consider bread and butter, right? So what I'll do is, I'll find the count of the transactions where bread and butter is available together, right? We have seen that example also. Individual items count we have find to check it out whether that item is frequent or not. Then after we have considered bread and butter wherever they were available. So that count also is important to us, right? So that count, the union count, bread and butter, both are available. Bread comes first, butter comes later. No, butter comes first, bread comes later. Sequence doesn't matter to us, right? And it is nothing like these two people are together only on one bench. No. See, he may be having the place here, or say one person is there in between. No issue. Sequence doesn't matter. That's what I am saying. In the transaction, 2 items must be that. That's what we are considering here. Right? So X union Y, that means both the items should be available. If we consider 3 items, then X union Y union Z. Fine. So what we consider is both the items available together in a transaction, that count we want to find. Bread and butter available how many times? Together, right? Together. That is what is important. So X union Y dot count, and upon N. What is N? N is the total number of transactions. Total number of transactions. Here we'll be considering small examples like say maximum you can say 10 or 15 transactions will be given to you, and for that we need to calculate this sum, right? But in real life we'll not be having this much small data. Okay, we'll be having the thousands of rows. Okay, that we can do. We should know the procedure, right? Okay, so that is what is the support. What about the confidence? That is equal to X union Y dot count upon X dot count. This is what is the formula, right? So X union Y dot count, it is available in the support also that we can take. And in the denominator, we are having the X dot count. Right? Its count that individually we have to put here. Fine. If it is having the value which is greater than that of minimum support or minimum count which is given. Till now we were considering, say, minimum count is 75, right? For that example. So here also minimum support and minimum confidence is given in the problem statement. So we have to check it out. Whatever support we find, if it is greater than or equal to minimum support, that we can say that item is frequent, right? That combo is frequent, right? Same way, if the rule that is X implies Y, for that we will find the confidence. See, for what we are finding support and for what we are finding confidence. For combination of items, we find this support. Whether these items combo is frequent or not, for checking that, we are finding this support. And for confidence, that is for rule. X implies Y, right? I want to say bread आपने परचेज किया तो बटर करेगा, right? So that rule I want to say. For rule, we have to find the confidence. If the confidence of a particular rule is greater than that of the minimum confidence, then that rule is accepted. Otherwise, that rule is rejected. Fine. Let us say that bread implies jewelry items is not accepted. Right? Obviously, it is not accepted because that support is what if we say support that is not accepted, that is not the frequent item. So we should not have the combo. But say ऐसे ही आपको दे दिया गया है that whether it is the accepted rule or not, you can say definitely it will not be accepted, right? Okay. So this is the confidence we are finding. So support and confidence formula is clear to you. Union and count, right? Upon and when we want to find the support, and for confidence we can say whichever is the first item, that count we should consider. See, it is nothing like here in this case we can say X union Y dot count upon, if we are writing X dot count or Y dot count, it will work. No, it will not work. If we are saying X implies Y, it means we must be having X dot count in the denominator, right? If I write Y dot count, then the rule will be changed. That will be Y implies X. Got it? So take care of that. X implies Y is not same as Y implies X. Fine? So this is support and confidence. So that's all for today. We'll see more in next class.